All right, and we are back here on the GSMC Football Podcast. And for the third part of the show, we are now going to talk about the Broncos likely releasing Russell Wilson, like I said before the break, in the coming weeks, coming months. Sean Payton was talking to the media, and, saying, we still got Russ on the team. Evaluating the quarterbacks, I guess, for the draft. It's actually, where did the Broncos pick? Because they finished 8-9 on the season, and we'll see if they have to, trade up. Maybe that's a possibility, if they want to do that. This is a big decision. So yeah, they have the 12th pick. Maybe they do want to trade up, possibly. But yeah, so if they do release Russell Wilson, the move would result in an NFL record $85 million in dead money for the Broncos. Yeah, so that wouldn't be good. Now, it's reported that almost no one in the league expects the Broncos to retain Wilson. Yeah, that's what's going to happen. I know Sean Payton has said, we still got him. No, he's going to be gone. So Russell Wilson is guaranteed $39 million in 2024, regardless of the Broncos' decision, with his $37 million salary for 2025 guaranteeing on March 18th. Wilson would likely prefer to be cut as soon as possible to explore other options in the open market. Also talks about Kirk Cousins, Baker Mayfield, and Ryan Tannehill are among the veterans set for free agency in the spring. If all things are equal, Wilson would rank behind Cousins as one of the best options available. Wilson's tenure with the Broncos, has been disappointing with struggles in 2022 and a mediocre performance in 2023. Sean Payton was frustrated with Wilson's inability to move the ball consistently, as he did not have a 300-yard passing game after Week 3. Despite his decline from his prime years with the Seattle Seahawks, Wilson is still considered a viable NFL starter who may not command an exorbitant salary. And there were a couple of TikToks I saw of his old games with Seattle. Just a different player. It's just like the Patriots game from the COVID season. I know the regular season game against the Niners. Niners still won the game, but just a couple. But yeah, Russell Wilson, I don't get it. Like how he went from that to. Again, I think it also comes down to coaching. Nathaniel Hackett just was not the right man for the job the first season. But yeah, listen, I thought Russell Wilson stepping into that situation, I thought, that was going to elevate Cortland Sutton and Jerry Jeudy. And Sutton did have a good season. Jeudy, I don't know what happened to him, but 2023 was not a good year for him. But yeah, I don't even think he had a touchdown, Jerry Jeudy, this year. I could be wrong, but it just again, 2023 was a little bit better for Russ, but still, it's just games like the Texans and the Lions, it's just they could not keep up with those offenses. Especially the Lions game, they got blown out. And it's weird because they also played close games against the Chiefs, and they even beat the Chiefs. But again, that's a divisional game, so. But yeah, it's just it's really strange how Russell Wilson's career kind of derailed, because he was really on that trajectory to be a Hall of Famer. And can he still get there? It depends. If he ends up in the right situation and he turns back the clock to the Russ that we saw in all those years in Seattle, then yeah. But right now, it doesn't look good. And I saw Tim Hasselbeck said that it wouldn't surprise him if Russell Wilson's just out of the league, out of football. Like, really? He's really that bad that he's not going to get another chance? Again, I think it's the right situation. We talked about Justin Fields being traded and the places he can end up. I know I joked about it, but Seattle is out there. Oh wow, my good friend Nick Urillo is in the chat. Haven't heard from him in a while. He also said last night in our sports chat it's been years since he's seen me, which is kind of true. So Nick Urillo says Russ could definitely help the Steelers or the Falcons. Imagine those teams last year with Russ instead of Pickett, Rudolph, Mitch, or Ritter slash Heineke. I mean, I agree with that. But again, like me personally, I think the Falcons situation would be better. They're both good, but again, this goes back to what I said yesterday: is you got Mike Tomlin. Out of the teams with the when I was talking about Justin Fields, Mike Tomlin is the head coach, and then on the with the other situations, Antonio Pierce, it's his first full season, and then you got a bunch of coaching changes with the other teams like Seattle, like the Falcons. So, yeah, in terms of stability, the Steelers would be probably the best spot, but the Falcons, I like their playmakers probably a little bit better. But they're probably like, neck and neck. But again, I mean, we'll see how the Falcons utilize the weapons this time because, well, now Arthur Smith, speaking of those two teams, Arthur Smith has gone from the Falcons to the Steelers now to be their offensive coordinator. So, yeah, I think Russ still has football left in him. I think what Tim Hasselbeck said, I think, is a little bit extreme. I feel like he could still like win games. It's just again, it's got to be the right situation. And I think those two situations, the Steelers and the Falcons, I think they would be, good situations to step into. But then it's up to Russ to go out there and play well, But again, it's all speculation. Just know it. But at the end of the day, I mean, his time in Denver is done. And we'll see what the Broncos end up doing. If they take a quarterback, if they want to try to get one of the other quarterbacks that are out there, I mean, listen, Kirk Cousins is coming off an Achilles injury, so obviously you look at him before the injury, you're like, wow, he was having a great season, and then he gets hurt. He's going to be coming back up from that, so you don't know how he's going to be. Tannehill is, kind of been trending down these last couple of years. He first got to Tennessee, it was very good. But, kind of trended down after that. Last year, the Titans, the wheels kind of fell off. Because in 2021, they were the number one seed. I mean, people forget that. Titans were the number one seed. But actually, I could see Tannehill going to the Steelers just because, again, Arthur Smith is there. Because, again, the Steelers want to bring in competition for Kenny Pickett. So maybe they bring in Tannehill. But, yeah, I mean, like Nick was saying, Russ would definitely be an upgrade over a lot of the quarterbacks that he talked about. I mean, especially, Mitchell Trubisky and Desmond Ridder. I mean, I think the Steelers would have signed up for that. At least for Mason Rudolph, he got the Steelers to the playoffs, winning those last couple of games. But, yeah, I mean, Russ is an upgrade over all of those quarterbacks there, including Kenny Pickett as well. But it's weird because the Steelers were winning games with Kenny Pickett. Then he gets hurt, and then the season kind of fell apart because they put in Trubisky, and he wasn't good. And then it looked like the Steelers were not going to make the playoffs. And then they put in Mason Rudolph, and they won 3 straight, made the playoffs. And listen, they battled in that game against the Bills, but they weren't going to win that game. But, yeah, and then the Falcons, what's the weakness of their team? It's the quarterback position. So, that could be a fit for Russ possibly, maybe Kirk Cousins. I mean, again, we'll just have to see. Maybe Kirk Cousins goes back to Minnesota. I don't really know because, again, it all comes down to the injury. Because, if Kirk Cousins doesn't get hurt this year and he, continues to have the great season he was having, he's probably a lock to go back to the Vikings. But I know Justin Jefferson has expressed his desire for Kirk to come back. So we'll see. But, Russell Wilson could be added to that list of quarterbacks that is on the market. And, again, I think what Hasselbeck said was extreme. Like, I think he's going to be sticking around. He's going to end up on another team. But again, it might be his last chance. Because if he gets another shot and doesn't play well, then yeah, maybe he's done. I think it would be insane if he went back to Seattle, but I mean, I don't know if that's gonna happen. Well, probably isn't gonna happen, but it would just be crazy. He comes back to Seattle, and then he just becomes the Russ of old. But I don't know. I don't know. Again, that was the last time he was with Seattle was 2021, and he got injured that year, and it's been a while, and it's been a rough couple seasons for him, and yeah, he's gonna be on the move again, but it's just it really is crazy just how things changed for him. Because, again, he goes to the Broncos, and you're thinking, wow, the Broncos are finally going to be back, and they're going to be a contender. They got a good defense. They got weapons, and nothing. They They were not a good team. And listen, it looked like they could sneak in maybe this year because they started playing really well. They went on that winning streak, but yeah, it just it didn't happen. They then they lose to the Lions. Well, who else did they lose to? They lost to the Texans. They got blown out by the Lions. Trying to think of who else they lost to, but yeah, it just didn't work out. They kind of ran out of gas. But now we'll see what the Broncos end up doing. But listen, you got Harbaugh now in the division, who's going to try to fix the Chargers. You got Antonio Pierce, who when he took over, the Raiders started playing better. I mean, they ended up finishing 8-9. Looked like they would have kept Josh McDaniels the full season. They probably end up finishing with the worse record than that. So, the competition in the division, well, the Chiefs are in their own class. With the other two teams, you're going to be fighting for second place. And I don't know. Right now I kind of rank the I don't know if I want to say rank the Broncos last, because the Chargers, they're coming off of a bad season, and again, with injuries. But I don't know. I'm curious to see, how that division is going to be next year. I mean, of course, you put the Chiefs at the top, and then the other three teams, we'll see what happens. Because I know the Chargers with their cap situation, I've talked about that. The Raiders and the Broncos, they both need quarterbacks. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, let me know what you guys think about this whole thing with Russell Wilson and the Broncos. Should the Broncos keep him for some reason? I mean, because if they get rid of him, I mean, I just told you what, it'd be a record of dead cap money. So, we'll see. But, yeah, so when we come back now from our final break of the show, we're going to talk about a couple articles I saw on CBS, teams that will rise and fall in 2024. So I'll talk about the teams that they have listed. I'll give you my opinion on that, and that will be it for the show for today. So with that being said, stick around, and we'll be right back here on the GSMC Football Podcast.